Hey, I wanted to get on here and do a little video about this upcoming week in the astrology within it and some of the themes. I'm sure if you're watching this, then you've probably seen something about it already. But we have an eclipse in Leo at 20 degrees and a ton of crazy transits leading up to it. So I'm not going to go through all those transits in this video, but I'm going to talk about the energies that we're working with and having to do with the planets and the signs and etc. So I've been thinking about the theme of this and watching other videos, other people's and fantastic work, including I like listening to Lori Lothian of Lunatic Astrology. She's so cool. But there's a lot of big collective energy and then probably pretty personal energy too happening. Eclipses always have some kind of effect. But anyway, so this eclipse feels very much like, I want to say, illusion and or disillusionment met with the need and the feeling of like almost duty to protect either oneself or others, maybe both. And I want to talk about why I think these things and why I think these are big themes. So a lot of it is relational. We have Venus in Libra and it's making aspects. It's going to be squaring Mercury in Leo, which Mercury just moved into Leo today. This is Sunday that I'm recording this. So there's a squaring action happening. Square? Trine. No, Libra. Leo. It's a square. Anyway. And it's going to be doing this throughout the week. So we have this like need to love and take care of relationship in a peaceful way. But also have a need for justice. And there's a square with Mercury and Leo being ruled by the sun lights everything up. It wants to put everything on display. And here we have Mercury, the planet of communication and the mental state, etc. Squaring that need for justice and for love and equality in Libra, Venus in Libra. So with this square, this is tension. The square says something has to be done. Now, with Mercury in Leo, it's loud, right? What we're thinking, what we are saying is out in the world, out in the sunlight. And so I've heard from a lot of mundane astrologers, this is very like expose energy. It's a lot of like, and throughout the week too, Mercury is making aspects to not just Venus, but also Uranus, which is currently in Gemini, which is what rules Mercury, the sign of communication. Uranus is the planet of abrupt change, like earth-shaking, earth-shattering, like something happens, okay? And then Mercury is also opposing Pluto this week. So Pluto being the god of war, deep transformation, like things have to change energy. In Aquarius, by the way, Pluto in Aquarius, which is concerned with the collective. And with this new moon eclipse situation happening between Leo and Aquarius, this is like, I think collectively we have a tendency to like be attracted to the spotlight. Leo wants the spotlight, wants to be the center of attention, wants, all that, which is not necessarily a bad thing in and of itself. But we see that with, in the US, certain people and people who are in positions of power, lots of need for power, actually, which is also this push and pull with Pluto, this opposition. And, we got Hollywood and we got all that. And it is opposing Pluto, this tug of war over power between the spotlight and needing celebrity and like whatever, to Aquarius saying, what is the collective doing? What does the collective need? Does everyone have what they need? Is there justice? etc. It's concerned about human rights. It's concerned about, the planet, all these things. Mercury is also, I believe, is it trining Aries? Yeah, it's trining Neptune and Aries. And all of this in really tight, these configurations are happening pretty much all at the same time, all this week, with Mercury being in the sign of Leo, trining Neptune, which is also opposing Venus. So it's like wild. Neptune has to do with illusion and delusion. It has to do with the imagination and images, which may or may not be real, made up. So this is the energy that comes in that's like, either we fall into a narrative, we push and continue to imagine a narrative and believe a narrative that is being told that may or may not be true, or we allow ourselves to embrace this intense energy of deep transformation and change and allow ourselves to be disillusioned with things that we thought were one way once before, and they're actually this other way. This can apply personally with relationships. It's very relational, the energy happening in the sky right now, but it's also it can be very personal with your own relationships. Lori Lothian, I keep referring to her because I love her, but she mentioned that this is a very much about your relationship to love itself, not just who you love and how you love and what you love, but your relationship to love itself. And I've been thinking about that and find it really profound. Another aspect that's happening, the part that makes me be like, okay, this has to do with protecting, is that we see Mars moving in the last degrees of Gemini, I believe today and tomorrow. So this is Sunday and Monday, 29 degrees. And it's conjunct Ceres, which is an asteroid that has to do with it's more nurturing, right? So it's like a scythe kind of shape, and it's supposed to represent you have to plant something in order to reap it. You have to sow something to reap, and you have to nurture it the whole time to get it to grow, and then you do reap it, and you use that to feed your family and your community, etc. So it's this nurturing thing. And with Mars on that, Mars is driven by this nurturing in this time frame, driven to take care of, to protect. And I say protect because it's leaving the very mental sign of Gemini, whose ruler is now in Leo. So it's lit up. It's on our minds, moving into the sign of Cancer, I believe on Tuesday, and it's gonna be in the early degrees, at 0 degrees. And then Ceres will also conjoin it at the 0 degree as well. So moving from this really mental state to a very emotional state. And with all this other energy happening, with disillusionment of Neptune and the abrupt change of Uranus and the opposition of Mercury and Pluto, and also the eclipse itself, and the South Node, right? By the way, the South Node is also in Leo, which is to say we're moving away from the one spotlight and into how can we make sure that everyone is accounted for and everyone has what they need, where the North Node is. So, yeah, that's another aspect that I've been thinking about with this Mars Ceres energy. On top of that, Mercury will be, is it Mercury or is it Mars? Is Chiron's in Taurus? Oh, yeah. So Mercury is squaring Chiron, retrograde. And by the way, the Chiron retrograde thing in my own life, when the day that it went retrograde, crazy stuff went down in my house. Not only does Taurus rule the house, but it also rules, it's also in my 4th house, which is what rules the house. Anyway, the home. And I have to move. So that was crazy. That's a little anecdote. But this has to do with themes of, and especially being connected to Venus, has to do with themes of, communication that might be difficult, come up having to do with this, whatever is going down, maybe with feminine figures, with home figures, housing, whatever. Material good, like material things. So that could be money, possessions, anything like that. And on a large scale, that could be like food or whatever. Not to be fear-mongering, this is just the general energy. But something goes down is in the energy, and it's going to be really abrupt and going to really feel like we have to do something. We can't not do something now. The other asteroid I wanted to mention in the energy of the upcoming week is Hygeia. So Hygeia is conjunct Jupiter, which is also in Leo the whole time. And thank God we have Jupiter in Leo with all that other action going on, because it's really, really intense energy. Jupiter wants to expand and bring good fortune. And sometimes that means blowing things up to a point where it's unavoidable. But other times it can also be like, the spotlight is on it and it's huge, or whatever it might be. But Jupiter is considered a benefic, and it's conjunct Hygeia, which is the asteroid of healing, like physical healing. It could be like mental healing also, but it has to do with this Chiron and Hygeia energy happening so much, along with the Ceres energy and being driven by the desire to protect. There's a lot of nurturing involved and like caretaking through this Aquarius lens, right? With this opposition to Pluto. The last thing I want to mention is that Juno is also at the 0 degree of Aquarius. So it will also be opposing all that action, that Mercury also. And Juno is known for being the wife to some god. I can't remember which god. Don't make fun of me. If you know what it is, tell me, but I don't remember at the moment. But she basically was like a really good wife, loyal to maybe a fault, right? Where she was so self-sacrificing and he didn't give a shit, really. He just kept cheating on her and like whatever. And she was just like, oh, I love you. And she stuck around, that kind of energy, whatever. So this is with this opposition, this Mercury in opposition to Pluto, coming in alignment, like coming into the same house as Pluto, Aquarius, right? There's this energy of like trying to, this push and pull of like, letting go and holding on, right? Allowing yourselves to be disillusioned, allowing ourselves to move forward, to like be like, oh, I see it now. Jupiter is saying, oh, I see it now. Like giving you the energy to see it and to deal with it properly. With the Mars and Cancer, to be driven by the motivation to protect oneself and others, whatever that might mean. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that for now. I just wanted to do a video about it, and maybe I'll do more of these. But if you like it, and follow me. Bye.